Awesome. We are live. Hello. How are you, everyone? Hope you're all doing well. I am just getting something posted on the socials so people know that we are live. How's everyone doing? Hope everyone's doing well. Sorry, one moment. Here's what we're posting. It'll have the link to the stream. Just gotta copy it over from YouTube. Happy Sunday. Hope no one has too crazy of a week. Looking forward. There will be a short out tonight, so hopefully that will help. I'll post a short for you. There will be a video later this week, so you've got that to look to, I suppose. Look forward to. Probably better stuff than YouTube to look forward to. Sharing my horrifyingly terrible opinions on horror movies and Halloween related stuff. Opinions. Sorry. We'll be we will be up and running soon. I just got to share this today. Well, I might as well explain what I'm doing today. It's not going to be gaming related, so to speak. Well, parts of it will, and that'll make sense in a second. What we are doing today is some tier lists. I know people love tier lists. I was asking myself, what is something really scary that I can do? And on the internet, specifically, there's nothing more scary than an opinion that is different from your own, that disagrees with you. So I thought to myself, hey, dog's gone crazy. That's almost as scary as dissenting opinions, I suppose. Anyway. I love my dogs. What was I saying? So we're gonna be doing some horror tier lists and some, I don't know if you've ever heard of Ooh Foo Foo, but it's kind of like a little head-to-head thing. Almost kind of like tournament bracket style thing where you rate things over other things, and usually that can be like movies, songs, television shows. In this case, it will be stuff related to horror and Halloween. So that is what we're doing today. I hope nothing I say is all too controversial. Although I wouldn't say in the realm of horror and scary stuff, I'm the most educated. In the sense that there's a lot that I haven't seen. But there's a lot that I want to, that's for sure. Just double checking. Okay, sorry, I got a bunch of messages from my mom. I will look at them later. Okay. Sorry, that took forever, and now we're already 6 minutes in. We haven't even started. What the heck? Anyway, let me go. Nope, I don't want to go full screen on my OBS. I want to go full screen on my computer. Now, if I do we'll start off with horror movies. Here is what we're doing. Um, Sorry about the ads. This is not sponsored or anything. You know, I'm not getting any money from Cosentix or from Amazon. Um, Although I've gotten a lot of cool books on Amazon recently. A lot of books, like I've got Jerry Seinfeld's book. It's called "Is This Anything?" and it's just a book of all his best bits, or some. Well, not his. It's like a book of all his comedy notes because I know he writes a lot. He talks about how he writes a lot. Anyway, that's completely irrelevant to what we're doing right now. We're doing a horror film franchises tier list, as you can see. Now, there are a lot of films on this list, a lot of which I have probably not seen. So I have, for the stuff that I haven't seen, kind of three separate categories as well. It'll be S through F. We don't need an S tier category. An A is just fine, you know. S, what's so different about S and A? In terms of ranking things. You know, you don't get an S on your papers. Doesn't make any sense to have it. So A through F, kind of like you would receive on a report card, or like you'd get on your grades. And then for things that I haven't seen, things that I think are really interesting, things that I'm indifferent to, and then things that I have no intention of seeing, whether it's just because of the content of the film or I just don't really care. Starting off with a film I haven't seen but I really want to see, we'll put The Exorcist. This is like The Exorcist is like one of those movies that is, I wouldn't say it's like it's definitely still very like culturally relevant, I'd say. Not so much as something like Halloween or Friday the 13th. But it's still like a very important piece of film. And because of that, that is why I want to see it. It predates a lot of those films that are definitely more, I'd say, recognizable. Although this is a very recognizable film as well. To be completely fair, that it's yes, The Exorcist. It's probably one of those films that I think, if you can stomach the horror, it's like every person who's interested in film should see it before they die. That's my opinion. And I think that extends to the next movie on the list, The Thing. The Thing is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. It's so well done for the year that it was made. And we're talking about the original Thing, not the remake. I don't think there's any remakes. I think it's mostly just kind of, I guess, franchises. Oh, yeah, so it's franchises. Huh. Okay. Well, I guess that kind of includes all of the films in that franchise then. Which in The Exorcist, there's a lot of films, but I still want to see the first one, and maybe I'll watch the second ones later. So yes, okay, that stays there. The Thing, I haven't seen the second one, so maybe I'll watch that at some point. But the first Thing, the John Carpenter Thing, I have seen, and it is so good in the way that it does horror, both in body horror, I think, in practical effects, and then also just narratively. Like the visual and the more narrative parts, I think, are both. This movie just really excels, and yeah, I think you should see it. It's about a group in the Antarctic, I think, a research group, and they find out that there's an alien species living amongst them, and they have to find out who's an alien and who's not. It might remind you of a something for all you gamers watching this. Anyway, Silent Night, Deadly Night. I've seen the first and the second one. The first one is it's very campy. Silent Night, Deadly Night, blah, 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 Silent Night, Deadly Night is. Um, I would say to a very insane degree, and then at least the first two are, and then the third one I don't think is good at all. I've only seen a little bit of it. And then I think maybe there's some more after that, but it doesn't. I don't really know how far that franchise extends. It's certainly like if you've ever seen the Garbage Day meme slash video slash reference, that's what this. That's from the second one, and it's just such a weird piece of film. I'll put it in C. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen. It's just it's very campy. Resident Evil. I haven't seen any of the Resident films, but I think I'm a little bit indifferent. I think when it comes to video game films, I'm a little bit hesitant because it's hard for directors, it seems. Just from an observational standpoint, to be was it very faithful to the source material, or not to delve into kind of like cliches all too much. It's I'd say there are some good video game movies. The new Super Mario Brothers movie, for example. Resident Evil, I'm a little bit more skeptical of. Just because I'm not, well, one, I'm not familiar with the Resident Evil lore. I do have some Resident Evil games that I might play at some point, but yeah, I don't know. The Resident Evil film series, it's not like I don't have any intention of seeing them, but I'm not really in a rush. The Fly, I think that's the one with Jeff Goldblum, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't seen it, but I really want to. That's I didn't know it was a franchise. I thought it was a singular film. Well, that's interesting. I don't know how you do, because maybe there's one from, I'd say it seems like something that there'd be more than one of, maybe one from the black and white area, and I know that there's the Jeff Goldblum one. I haven't seen either, but The Fly in particular, I think it's a very interesting story, and the screenshots that I've seen, at least from the newer one, the Jeff Goldblum one, the body horror is very good. I think when I just don't know how narratively good it is, but it's very intriguing the way that it looks. So we'll put The Fly and haven't seen but really want to. Candyman, I've seen the first one. It's certainly interesting, and I think what's his name? I'm thinking that Tony Todd is the villain from the original one. It's an interesting story, but I wouldn't say it's like as good at, it's definitely got some camp. It's got some camp, as most of the horror movies from probably the 80s and 90s do. I'll put Candyman in B for right now, just because they think Tony Todd is really good in it, and it's an interesting enough story. It's a bit unconventional and stuff as well, and just knowing some of the behind the scenes stuff that went on, like kind of like how they did certain things, especially because there's a lot of work with bees in this movie. I think that is very kind of an interesting, that's not what I'm judging, I guess, the film based on, but I think it's there's a lot of stuff that kind of went into it that, I don't know, I think is very interesting as well. So I'll put it in B. I think this says Camp Blood. Haven't seen it. I'm a bit indifferent. That sounds like a very generic name for something horror related. So I'm not particularly, I don't know, not particularly invested in seeing that right now. The Howling, I've seen the second Howling. It's very silly. It's very unmemorable, the second one. because it's either gonna be C or D for me, but I don't know which. I feel like I haven't seen enough to go to put it in D, so I'll put it in C, right behind Silent Night, Deadly Night. It is, yeah, no, it's incredibly campy, kind of like Silent Night, Deadly Night. They're both sort of the same, I'd say, level of campiness to a degree. I'm not like, it's not going to be the movie that I put on, though, if that makes sense. Human Centipede, I don't really have any intention of seeing, I think, to be kind of like, I don't know, I think it's a shock movie, not so much a horror movie, and I think that for me, that's not necessarily what I'm looking for in my film, and I don't necessarily like the idea. I don't really see why it's, I guess, particularly scary, so I don't really have any intention of seeing the Human Centipede at this time. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, haven't seen, and I don't really have any intention of, well, actually, no, I am intrigued, actually. I have not seen it, but that is so ridiculous. I'm kind of like, it can go one of two ways for me, neither of which are the middle. I'm not indifferent to this movie. I could either go my entire life seeing it, or it could be something that could actually be really interesting. So I'm I'm not particularly neutral about it. It just sounds really weird. The Boogeyman, I'm kind of indifferent. I haven't seen any of those movies. It's kind of one of the. It's not like I don't really want to see it, but I'm not. My intentions of seeing it aren't super high. And I think that's simply just because, I don't know, just the monster of the Boogeyman doesn't really entice me as much as kind of like, I'd say like, if you think about things like The Exorcist or The Fly, which, or at least The Exorcist, I don't know so much about The Fly, but like kind of like things that are more culturally relevant. I don't see the Boogeyman kind of like, it's like when you hop onto Netflix or something like that, or any streaming service, it's sort of like, I don't know, you see things in trending and you want to watch those things because they're right in front of you, and it's like people generally find these things to be favorable, so more people watch it, and because of that, it's like, wow, okay, most people have seen this, maybe I should watch it too, because I think it's important to have opinions on things that are relevant today. The Boogeyman, it's like kind of like one of those things where it's like you would have a much harder time, I think, clicking on something like that versus if you had a horror lineup that's like the Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, like those things. You'd have to really kind of find the Boogeyman, I think. It's kind of one of those movies. Anyway. Friday the 13th, I've seen the first, which I think is really campy, but it's really good, and I'll put it over Candyman, but it's not quite an A for me. I think my dog is outside of my room. Friday the 13th. The first one is very silly. But it's also, I think, kind of interesting. It's definitely like, and it's again one of those films that's very culturally relevant. I think there's been no shortage of Friday the 13th stuff. There's definitely, I think, films that are a lot worse, at least it's been around a lot. When Jason goes to Manhattan and Jason goes to space, I think it's just, you don't need that kind of stuff. But the first few films, I think, are interesting. It's, you got an interesting story and lore kind of around Jason Voorhees for the most part. It's good. I'd say at least everyone should watch the first, because it started, what is this sort of legacy that is, Jason's. I will put both of these actually right here. I don't really know enough about either Lake Placid or Open Water to have an opinion on them. That's kind of one of the faults of doing something like this, a tier list, is when you don't know enough about a lot of the stuff that's on here, or you haven't seen enough. It can be like, okay, well, why am I doing this? Scanners, I only know of Scanners. I haven't seen it, but I do want to because of the one scene of the guy's head exploding. That's all I've seen of it, and that looks crazy. So because of that, I want to see Scanners. The Evil Dead, I'd say it's an A, but it's a lower A. I think, it's kind of hard. It's definitely very relevant, I think, even into today. There was the Ash versus the Evil Dead series, although we're not, that's kind of it's part of the franchise. So, I think it's very well done, and I think Ash Campbell, just as a horror movie character, is so interesting that it makes you want to keep coming back. Army of Darkness, I'd say, is like one of those things. Evil Dead is an A minus. I agree. It's kind of like, it started off very strong, and then like a lot of these series, it's like the farther you go, the more campy and kind of different they have to be from the original. But I think the first one, at least, is very interesting, and the premise is interesting. It's just, I don't know, it's a cool series. I'd say you check it out. At least watch the first one, or watch the Ash vs. the Evil Dead series. Although it'll probably make more sense if you watch the first movie. I mean, that's kind of where everything originates. It explains everything pretty well, I'd say. Terror Tunes, I haven't seen it. I don't know. It doesn't sound super. It sounds a bit goofy, but it doesn't sound super interesting. Terror Tunes. Scary Movie as a series. That's one of the Wayans brothers things. It's low. It ranks low for me. The first one is kind of funny. It's not really a horror movie franchise, I'd say. It is a comedy franchise. I'll have to put it in D because I don't think I've only seen the first one really, and I don't think it's so abysmally bad that it could be F. But what I do feel about it is that it they get really bad as they go along, is definitely the way that it seems. I think the first one, it's it feels very like the humor is low-hanging fruit. Although maybe it's just a product of the time, and that's no offense to the Wayans brothers. I think, they like comedy, and I think they tried to make something that, they think other people would like, or things that they thought that they were funny, that the things that they thought were funny, at least. I can't say I think I'm kind of in that same grouping. It wasn't a movie for me necessarily, or a franchise for me. I wouldn't say it's very good. Wishmaster, that sounds super metal. But and that's coming from someone who does not listen to metal, just for clarification. Wishmaster, I don't know, I'm kind of indifferent. It sounds interesting. It could be here. I'm not kind of ranking these in terms of how good they are, just because it's like things I haven't seen. So it's like, I want to rank my anticipation for seeing things. No, it's just like I haven't seen them and I want to, or I don't. The Lost Boys, I think that sounds interesting. So I'm more inclined to put it in haven't seen but really want to, just because I think when I think of the Lost Boys, I think of Peter Pan. When I think of Peter Pan, I think of the Disney Peter Pan. And if it's any way related to Peter Pan, probably just the story in general. I don't think it's like a Disney original thing, but I like the Disney Peter Pan, despite how is problematic. Some of those parts of the movies can be. Lost Boys is really good. A horror comedy. Okay, I like horror comedy. I can do comedy, when it's funny. Scary movie. Um, yeah, so I'll put that in haven't seen but really want to. Ginger Snaps. It's not PP. Oh, Peter Pan. Good. um, okay, interesting. Yeah, I'll have to see it sometime. Ginger Snaps does not sound like a horror movie. It sounds like a Christmas movie. So why is this in a horror and it's a franchise? That's what it sounds like. Ginger Snaps is worth the watch. I'll put it in indifferent right now. I don't know. I'm not sold on it yet. I'll need a sales pitch. It is a horror movie. Okay. It sounds like a Christmas movie. Feast. Just watched Lost Boys for the first time last week. Great movie. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'll definitely have to watch it. I'm kind of intrigued now. It seems like there's been a lot of really. The consensus is that it is a good movie. So I will have to watch it at some point. It will stay in the haven't seen but really want to. What's up, Cam? How's it going? Feast, have not seen. I don't know. Give Lost Boys an A? Oh wow, it must be. Dang, I gotta watch it now. Maybe I'll watch it after this or sometime next week if I have the time. Feast is what we had last or next. I don't know. I Spit on Your Grave. That sounds like that's a very interesting title. I'd say I want to see that because I want to see who it is that is spitting on the grave and whose grave they're spitting on, and why they're spitting on it. What could justify something like that? Phantasm. Corey Feldman, Kiefer Sutherland, and Jason Patric. Is that the Lost Boys? Oh, well, I'm guessing that is because of your previous comment. Just watching football and thought you'd swing by. That's awesome. Thank you. Hope the game is going good. Hope your team is winning. Corey Haim. I'm guessing we're still talking about Lost Boys here. Yes, I will definitely see the Lost Boys. Nightmare on Elm Street. I'd say in terms of like the big kind of campy series for me, I think Nightmare on Elm Street goes above Friday the 13th because it never kind of, I think, delved into that sort of realm of like hackiness that Friday the 13th. Freddy, I don't think ever went to space. Freddy didn't go to Manhattan. I think the concept of Freddy as a kind of movie monster is a lot more interesting too. Whereas Jason is a kind of like a I guess Jason's kind of like a man-child zombie. I kind of agree, honestly. I would move it. I think it's I think it's a little bit better than Evil Dead for me. I agree. You've changed my opinion, or my initial opinion. Yeah, I like Nightmare on Elm Street. It's like it's very, it's certainly different, and of course it did get kind of campy and stuff later on, as a lot of these films did. But I think it's been more consistent horror wise, and like good in comparison to something like Friday the 13th. Alien, that I'd say is even better than Nightmare on Elm Street. I think the first Alien is so good. I remember seeing it, I think, when I was in middle school, and it really hooks you, and it's really well, I think everything in that is very well designed. I think it's very well acted, and I think the xenomorph is like one of the coolest looking like horror antagonists of all time. Just the way that it's designed, I think it's an H.R. Geiger design, and it's kind of, there's a lot of thought that went into it. Alien is really awesome. I think everyone should at least see the first and the second one. I know the third one isn't really I heard it's pretty but yeah, Alien is cool, and it's one of those things that I think has been very relevant even until today. Beware the Blob. I'll put it in here. Put Phantasm on your watch list. It's an old one. It's a bit campy, but has some good scenes and some humor. I like camp. I like camp. I'm still, I'll have to look into it a little bit more before I move it out of here, you know. But I'll definitely consider it. Like, I wouldn't say like I don't want to watch any of these films. I'm just like not as much as these top films, if that makes sense. I keep moving my mouse. Oh, well, you can see my cursor. Never mind. I'm looking at the like the playback. I thought my cursor wasn't there, so it probably wouldn't make sense if I'm waving it around. The Blob, I only know of like the 80s or 90s one. I watched a video kind of on the science of it, like of like, I guess, how would you survive the Blob or something based on science. It was a very interesting video, and it makes me want to see if any films in this franchise kind of took the film in a way that was interesting. The original Blob was a classic, very old movie involving an alien ball of jello. Yeah, it's like, how could you not like that? So, yeah, it's going in the want to watch for sure. The Omen. The Omen. I know it's one of those kind of classic films, but I think I don't know enough about it to put it either here or here. I mean, I don't know anything about Terror Tunes, to be clear. The Omen is an A. Dang, I gotta watch some of these movies. I feel... I'm not super familiar with so much of this stuff. Critters. Critters can go in here. That's just shitty Gremlins to me, if you ask me. I know what Critters is and what they look like, but Gremlins is like, for me, it's like the Critters is like only one can sit on that throne of tiny little shitters movies, horror movies. And that's Gremlins. Gremlins is the king of those of that brand of movie. So no, I don't really have any intention of seeing Critters, except if it's to see young Leonardo DiCaprio, which is a wild thing for him to have been in, I think, just based on the caliber of actor that he is. The Hitcher, I don't think I know anything about. I've never heard of that. I think I could put Cloverfield and Children of the Corn in there as well. Omen is up in the same level as Exorcist, huh? You're selling it really well. I'm gonna move it up. Your guys' enthusiasm is propelling things up the list. Hitcher is creepy. Huh, okay. I think there's definitely a lot of stuff that will end up in here, just because I don't have any opinions of it. But things like Cloverfield, Children of the Corn. Actually, no. I was gonna move this up maybe because it's kind of I think. Kind of a weird one. Is this the one with Nicolas Cage, the franchise with Nicolas Cage? Cloverfield is really good, very original. I was actually leaning a little bit more towards here because I know I've heard of it. Very original. John Goodman in it. Oh, you gotta have Walter in it. He was in Vietnam. He'll show whoever is the antagonist in there who's boss. I'll leave Hitcher, Children of the Corn, and Creepshow, and haven't seen Indifference because I don't know enough about him. I Know What You Did Last Summer. That's like low C. That's a C minus for me because I think it's very convoluted, and the more that I went on, I think the worse it got. I haven't seen a ton of it, but Shama's Office. Yeah, I should have taken one out of Walter's book. I shouldn't be doing this. I should be resting because it's the Sabbath. I Know What You Did Last Summer is one of those. It's not. I don't think it's a very interesting idea for. Well, it's an interesting idea, but I don't think it's executed very well. And I know that as the longer it went on, the worse it got. It's just a very convoluted film, and it's one of those things. It's like where twists, make it. Does that make it better? In the case of this movie, I don't really think so. So it's not scary movie bad, but it's not the greatest. I'm actually gonna put it in D. I'm not a big fan. The Brotherhood. Have not seen. I don't think I've ever even heard of it. I'm actually going to be taking a lot of time on this. I have like 7 other tier lists. I'll go a little bit quicker. I'll try. The ABCs of Death. Very interesting concept, but it's kind of poor execution. I know there's definitely some. Lee Hardcastle, who is a claymation dude, did something for this, which was really cool. I think there's a lot of mediums in this that were used that are interesting, and then other things are really bad. So it's not the most consistently good thing all the way across, but it's better than these bottom 2 for me. Hostel feels really mean for the sake of being mean, which I think if you're doing horror, that's like one of the that's just not. I think when horror is well done, it's not like the killer or the person who's making the movie is just being mean for the sake of being mean. It's like there's an actual narrative, and that's a very interesting narrative. With Hostel, I don't feel like that the focus was on creating a movie that was compelling or scary, and it feels like very much like a torture porn kind of movie to me. That's my opinion. So I'm going to put it in F. That's my first F. Blade, like the Marvel's Blade, haven't seen. Actually, I am kind of interested. I think that's Wesley Snipes. Thanks, Kim. Enjoy your food. Hope it's delicious. Shake, rattle, roll. Night of the Demons. That sounds awesome. The Amityville Horror, I know, is really good. Cabin Fever could go in here. Evil Bong is even worse. It's a stoner movie, and I don't have anything against stoners or stoner movies, but I think as a horror movie, it's just, you can't really compare it to anything else. Even Hostel, I don't think you can compare it to anything else on this list. So for me, it's not even really a horror movie. The first Blade is really excellent. Second has Ryan Reynolds. Huh. Okay, interesting. I like Ryan Reynolds. Anaconda. First one I think has Ice Cube. and he gets eaten by a snake, a big freaking snake. But it doesn't seem like anything that would be too super scary, so I'll put Anaconda and scene in a different. Final Destination. The first one is really good, and I think everything after that didn't really need to exist. I'll put it in B, beneath Candyman. Yeah, Blade is Wesley Snipes. Okay, that's what I thought. Holy shit! I've been streaming for 42 minutes already. How many? Oh my gosh, there's so much on here. I'll for the sake of making sure I get to the other stuff that I want to do, I'll just start putting on things that I have seen, and things that I haven't. I'll gloss over a little bit, or I'll just skip, because there's other stuff that I wanna rate. Fright Night, haven't seen From Dusk Till Dawn, haven't seen Ghoulies, haven't seen Halloween, a very classic, predates even Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street. I think the first Halloween is good, and there's been so many iterations of Halloween. I didn't even see Jaws on here. Yeah, I'll get to Jaws in a bit, but that's going to be an A. Halloween, I would put here, because Michael Myers has been around for like forever. There's been so many directions that this series has taken, and I think at least up until the newer ones, Reanimator is both A and F at the same time. I agree. I'll get to it in a bit, but I agree. Yeah, Halloween's been around for forever. And I think some of the ways that it's been taken have been interesting. Obviously, it's like one of those things that has gotten not as good as it goes on, and I think the newer one, the newest, or the first movie in the newest Halloween trilogy, I think was very boring. But the first Halloween movie is really good. Hellraiser is a B for me, and it is just under Friday the 13th. Hellraiser is weird and cool. Doesn't make a ton of sense to me. I think the lore there is very interesting. The Hills Have Eyes. I see you just said something. The original Hills Have Eyes from the 70s is super creepy. Did not like the remake. I've only seen the remake, and for me, so what I'm gonna do is just switch these. I'll do that. I've seen the remake. It's actually, I don't feel comfortable putting it in something like D or F because I have not seen the original. I've only seen the remake, and the remake is again one of those things that's like the remake would go here basically in F, because it's I'll do that. You're way ahead of me right now. Fright Night. Oh, you're actually, we were just talking about this. Hills of Eyes, I don't know where I stand on it. It's I've only seen the remake. I've not seen the original, so I can't necessarily put an F. I don't feel like it's fair, but yeah, I don't know. Child's Play is the first one, could have been the only one, and that could have been it, but then they made it. It's I think they've been maybe a step in the right direction with some of the newer stuff. I know they've kind of tried to reinvent it too with the whole Aubrey Plaza series, or well, I think it's a series now too, right? I don't know. Child's Play, the first one could have existed and nothing could have come after that, and it would have been fine. Everything else after that is just it's unnecessary, and I think it gets more convoluted as it goes on. So for that, Child's Play is in C for me. Jaws, of course, even just for the first Jaws, I think Jaws is better than The Thing. The first Jaws movie is so good. That's classic Spielberg. It's not even one that I would just it's not I wouldn't even consider a horror movie really. It's kind of weird that it's on this list in my opinion, but it's one of I think one of my favorite movies of all time if I'm being honest. The first Jaws. It's up there. It ranks up there. The wrong turn I think is a bit contrived and not goes right here. Not my favorite. Of course it's campy and stuff like that, but it's just not very good and not very interesting. Reanimator, as said before, is kind of an A and an F at the same time because it is so freaking campy and so terrible, but at the same time it's kind of like a train crash. You can't look away from it. So it's going in the bottom of C. Of course, like things like Jeepers Creepers, Joyride, Jew on the Grudge, have not seen. Creature from the Black Lagoon, that's old as time itself, but haven't seen it. The Ring, I'm guessing, sorry, I'm looking ahead. I haven't really seen any of The Ring, but I know it's interesting. The Return of the Living Dead, is that just the Living Dead series in general, or is it like the more recent Living Dead, like after the original John Romero 3? Because the first Night of the Living Dead is really good. The other two after that are a bit campy, but they're still really interesting. So I don't know if I can put this up here yet. Actually, we'll just say for right now that it is. Like the Living Dead series in general. I think the first one is really good, the black and white one. Basket Case is strange, but I wouldn't say it's very good. The Ring is an A, remake of Japanese horror movie, but the English version is super scary and a much wash. You and I, like, we're gonna have to watch some of this stuff later. I feel like I've got a lot of homework. Basket Case, I feel like would go here because it's strange, and I know the more that goes on, the stranger it gets. But it's not one of those things that is necessarily good. Ginger Dead Man is the next one, and I think that is just slightly better than Evil Bong. The Ginger Dead Man, it goes in the same basket of Evil Bong. Thanksgiving, things like that. It's awful. Ouija, Mega Shark, Bunny Man. I think I've seen a Bunny Man film. It was not good. It didn't make any sense. So for me, it goes here. Maniac Cop, Prom Night. I'm gonna take this off because I haven't seen any of the new ones. But Night of the Living Dead is goes right here for me, right between Friday and Hellraiser. Psycho. Wait, where am I? Poltergeist, I haven't seen my notes. It's like a cursed film almost, because I know everyone who's involved in it like died, even like the kid. Tremors is very funny and campy. Yeah, I've seen a little bit of it, but I haven't watched the whole thing. Cube is very different. I think it goes above Hellraiser for me, at least with the first Cube. But I like it a lot. I think it's a very interesting concept, and it doesn't really take itself too seriously, I don't think, and the whole story behind everything with it is I don't know. It's interesting and it's inventive, so I'd have to put it in B, right above Hellraiser, because I think I enjoyed it more than Hellraiser. Poltergeist, yes. I will have to watch it at some point. Purge, I've seen a couple Purge movies. It's not really my thing. I think it goes above Reanimator for me. Maybe above The Howling. Actually, I'm going to put The Howling at the bottom because I don't really know enough. I think I've seen some of it and it's super duper campy, but it's like, I don't know. Purge is alright. Saw, the first Saw is very good. I think it's better than Candyman. I think it goes here, actually. Saw is like, and that's still very culturally relevant too. Sharknado is a G. Yeah. Saw goes up here. I think it's also very interesting and different. Scream could go behind Saw for me, I think. Yeah, Sharknado is one of the worst things ever. It's better than all of these, I'd say. It's like the king of the shit mountain that is the F tier for me. I feel like I need to say more about Scream. I mean, it's very relevant as well today. Scream stuff is still being, I mean, even through last year, I think, was when the last Scream movie came out, Scream 6. It started very well, I think. Of course, there's some contrivedness or convolutedness that is in there that I don't know is particularly beneficial, but I think as a franchise, it's still pretty good. Silence of the Lambs. I didn't realize that was a franchise. I think it was just, yeah. Sharknado is no Birdemic or ever. That is genuinely G tier garbage. Silence of the Lambs is my favorite horror movie of all time. I like Jaws more, but for me, The Silence of the Lambs is such a well done story. And I'm talking about the Jodie Foster and what's his name? Who plays Hannibal Lecter? I forgot his name. Anyway, it's one of the best horror movies, I think, in my opinion, that has been made. It's so good. It's so creepy. It's everything about it, I'd say, is well done. Bob Hopkins, I think, is no. Bob Hopkins. No. I don't remember who is Hannibal Lecter. Sleepaway Camp. Anthony Hopkins. Maybe his brother is Bob Hopkins. Sleepaway Camp is campy. It's weirdly. There's a weird appeal to Sleepaway Camp. I think it goes in C. It's better. It's not as good as Child's Play, I think, and it's again one of those movies that could only exist with the first one and be totally fine. There's some. I think it's. I know it's weirdly problematic in a way too, not weirdly, but there is some element that is problematic about it. But it's one of those movies. It's like you just can't help yourself coming back to. There's a weird appeal to it for me. So it's not Child's Play, but it's better than these four schmucks right here. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I've seen the first one. That goes here. The first one, it's again one of those movies. The first one could have existed. Nothing else after that could have existed. I think it's not predecessors. What's after predecessors? Everything that followed the first one, I think, weighs this series down as a franchise. But it is again one of those things that's very iconic. Blair Witch Project I haven't seen, but I know I need to. Same thing with Predator. Troll. Troll is actually the king of shit mountain. It's better than Sharknado, but it's one of those series. It's like, why does this even exist? It's so bizarre. Troll 2 in specific is one of the worst films ever made, but it's so unintentionally funny. I'd have to say it's unintentional. I don't know if it's intentional, but Troll is genuinely awful. There's still so much on here. It I think is really cool. That's I like it more than here. I think everything that has been involved in it is good. Not great, but good. And I think there is kind of a campiness or an appeal to it. And with the newer ones, Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise the Clown is absolutely terrifying, and really kind of makes the newer It series what it is, or this It sort of reimagining. So I'd have to put it in B, mostly for Bill Skarsgård. I think he's fantastic. I know there's a lot of crap like Leprechaun in here. Zombieland, I think, is more for comedy than it is a horror series. Put it here. I'm just taking things as I see them now. I hate Jack Frost. It's awful, but it's just better than these two. Actually, it's better than Bunny Man. I think there's only 2 Jack Frost movies. Gremlins. Gremlins is so fun. It goes here for me. I love Gremlins. It's a Christmas and a Halloween movie. Zombieland is a B. It has Bill Murray. I think so. I don't know if it's exactly for Bill Murray, but it is a B. I didn't realize this. My Bloody Valentine. Oh, hold on 1 second. This goes here because Ginger Dead Man is sillier. This is just not funny or good or anything. Piranha goes in F as well because the Piranha movies are terrible. I don't know what Sharktopus is, but that sounds freaking awesome. My Bloody Valentine is I think it's a D tier movie. There's stuff that they do right and a lot of other stuff that they do wrong. Strangers, Black Christmas, Pet Sematary. Some of these are Jurassic Park and Ghostbusters. I would not consider horror movies. I'll have to put them on here though, because I did say Jaws isn't really much of a horror movie. Pet Sematary is better than the remake of The Hills Have Eyes for me, but it is still very bizarre in not a good way. The original Ghostbusters is definitely an A+. I'd put it here. Here. It's definitely one of the most quotable movies, I think, but I wouldn't consider it much of a horror movie. And the newer ones, well, I haven't seen the new one with all the kids. I did see the all-female Ghostbusters. I thought that was alright. Not my favorite movie, but it was alright. The Mummy, you've seen the first one. I don't know. There's a whole lot of shit on here. Sorry, I gotta get to the other lists and stuff too. I really want to make sure, so I'll just go. I won't rank more of these, but I'll go over the ones that I have seen just really, really quickly. Jurassic Park, not a horror movie, but one of probably the best movies ever made. Again, Spielberg, I think he knew what was up with Jaws and Jurassic Park and whatnot. The Mummy, I've seen the first one, the Brendan Fraser one. Very, very good, or fun movie at least. I wouldn't say it's fantastic, but it's pretty good. Happy Death Day is an interesting. It's kind of like a Groundhog Day with a serial killer, so I'd say it's pretty good. I thought this was just a game series. Unfriended, I think, was an interesting idea. The execution, I think, was all right, but it's not very memorable, I'd say. I mean, who doesn't love Frankenstein? Classic horror icon. The Shining, also one of the best horror movies ever made. It's not quite Silence of the Lambs for me. I just think is a very unpopular opinion, but it is really good. I would say that's definitely up there with the best. Birdemic, that's absolute trash, garbage, absolute bird dung, bird dookie. What else can I talk about. I thought I would be able to do this a lot quicker. House, if that's the Japanese version, is weird, but I like it. Chud, Romantic, Prophecy, Dark Man, The Toxic Avenger, Waxwork, Contracted, Chrome Skull, Extra. The Invisible Man, the new one and the old one, I think are both very interesting. Like the Elizabeth Moss version and the black and white version. Very good. Same with Tales from the Hood. Very different than most horror stuff, but interesting still. And A Quiet Place, very good movie. I only saw the first one, but it's very good. Sorry, I wish I could rank more of these, but I didn't realize it was going to take me an hour just to talk about this stuff. And there's so much more that I want to talk about. Oh my god, these lists are huge. I think I made a mistake. Maybe there's 100 plus. I've kind of fried my brain here. I don't know what to do. Let's just kind of go through all this stuff. 150. Oh my god. Let's see. This is a quick one. 2010's internet horror imagery. Smile Dog. I did not make these tier names, by the way. This is how it was when I clicked on it. Smile Dog was really creepy the first time I saw it. I'll put it there. SCP-173 is it's here. It's interesting. Eyeless Jack, also very creepy the first time I saw it. I don't know what this is. I'm not gonna put it up there. Jeff the Killer scared the shit out of me when I was a kid when I first saw it. I'll put it above there. I wouldn't say there's anything on here that's truly scary. Been Drowned is as a story it's interesting, but it's not scary. This is Smile Dog as well, so I don't know why that's on here. Gregory's Room, who cares? Mariana something Glesgorv, Missed the Mark. Russian Sleep Experiment, I think was very interesting. Kind of a weird video. I don't know what this is, but I've seen it. I forgot. Yeah, Sonic.exe is not scary. Dead Bart could go in here. A Barbus Genocide is a scary picture. That's like the classic Gary's Mod jump scare. Mario. Kind of missed the mark. Still very good. Put that there. The Exorcist Scary Maze jump scare. That is actually scary. The Rake. Cool, I guess. Goes here. I know this is Suicide Mouse. God, some of this stuff really sucks. Slenderman. Slendy Tubbies. Yeah, and this can go here actually. I Feel Fantastic. Blank Room Soup. I'm sorry, this is probably not very interesting now that I'm breezing through it. Theater. I actually like the theater. And Happy Happy. Who cares? Who cares about oops. Yeah, that's my opinions on 2010's internet horror imagery. Oh my god, there's so many games. I'm actually... Halloween costumes. Let's do something that we can... So, let's talk about just costumes. Because why not? Okay, I'm getting this H&M ad out of here. I'm sorry, this is such a scuffed stream. I only have 2 hours, so I gotta make sure I'm using it correctly. Did I? Okay, the next one is the candy one. That's a huge one. We'll talk about Halloween costumes. What are good costumes? What's not? I think Halloween costumes. I'll be transparent in the sense that I think when it comes to Halloween costumes, I think your costumes there should be some ingenuity and they should be cool. I don't think a nurse costume is very cool. And I don't think the doctor's office is very scary. I'll put it in C because it's not, I think, the worst place they could go. What does this say? Other animals. Well, I haven't even seen any of the... I will come back to other animals. Pirates are cool. Pirates can go in B tier. I think, you can be dressed up as a pirate and make it look really cool. But I wouldn't say it's the most fantastic thing. Princess is, unless you're like a kid... You actually can make this look really cool. But I don't know about a lot of people dressing up as princesses who aren't little children. If you're a pumpkin, there's very little ingenuity at that, and it's not quite a nurse, I don't think. Sometimes the doctor's office is scary. Pumpkins are literally never scary. Pirates are in this here. That's for real, for real. Robot, I think, is an A tier costume. I think you can be very clever and inventive when you're dressed up as a robot. Evil Clown, I think, is contrived, but it's good. It's not pirate level for me, but it's right in the middle right here. Frankenstein costume. There's not a whole lot of ingenuity, but I think Frankenstein is a cool thing to dress up as. I think it's above nurse for me. A firefighter. You could be like a horror firefighter, I suppose. So I think that is maybe mid C. Mummy, the Mummy. Where H&M came back. This ad space is haunted. Any food or Mummy. We'll do the Mummy. I think there's some room in there for some cleverness. Any food costume is better than being a pumpkin. I'd rather be a banana than a pumpkin. The zombie costume. That, I think, goes here. You can go a lot of ways with it. It's pretty cool. President, why would you want to dress up as the president for Halloween? Why would you want to make a political statement at a Halloween? I don't think so. I think dressing up as the president for Halloween, or any president, and for the record, I think if you're dressing up as a president, there's maybe, at this point, 4 presidents that you would dress up as. You're either dressing up as George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Donald Trump, or Joe Biden. That's, as far as I think a lot of people know, there's only 4 presidents. So, in my book, I don't think dressing up as a president is good. This is like the Christmas story level stuff. What is this? A bat? No, that's even worse than a bunny. But I think it's better. It's a better idea than dressing up as the president. This is a stupid list. I don't even want to finish this one. This is really bad. Why did I do this? This was the worst idea. Let's go to candy. Let's talk candy. Remove some of these ads. They just disappeared. The ads teleported out of here. Let's talk candy. Let's be real. Let's talk Halloween candy. Candy is very important to me. I love candy. And I will spend some time with this because I do want to... I didn't name this Elite. Let's get rid of Elite. Let's delete that row. I think there's only 4 levels of candy anyway. There's A, B, C, and Puke. When it comes to candy, I like candy. a lot. I'm a little bit particular though. So some of these things, I mean, some of these aren't even candy, they're just cookies. This is like a sweets tier list, like Halloween sweets tier list. 100 grand bar. 100 grand is one of those kinds of candies that you like what's on the inside, but it sticks to the roof of your mouth, and there's an inconvenience to this candy, the 100 grand bar. I think it is a B tier candy for me, but it's I think what's holding it back is the inconvenience that comes with the candy. I'd say if there wasn't so much sticky caramel and nougat in it, then it would be much better. But they just load that stuff in there. There's a bunch of better candy that I'll get into. Three Musketeers is C. It's boring. It's like eating a Snickers but without the good stuff. I think when you are talking about candies, and I'll just show my opinion real quick on some of these, because I want to be it's almost kind of like a ladder. I'll put this there actually. Your Snickers, any variation of Snickers is fantastic. The peanut butter one is actually the greatest candy of all time, I think. One of the greatest conceived candies. But Snickers is very good. It's very consistent, and there's no inconvenience there. If I received Snickers on Halloween, I'd be very happy. Babe Ruth is like Snickers, but they took out some of the good parts of the Snickers. I don't think there's any peanuts in a Babe Ruth. I think it's literally just the caramel and the nougat. And then what they did with Three Musketeers was they said, hey, you know how they took the good part out of Snickers to make a Babe Ruth? What if we took out the next best thing in a Babe Ruth and made this candy just called Three Musketeers? The Three Musketeers is not a good piece of candy. It is literally just chocolate and nougat. It's not puke tier, but they took the peanuts out of the Babe Ruth, and they took the caramel out of the Babe Ruth. They took two things out of there. That's how many creative liberties they thought they could take with this candy bar. So no, Three Musketeers is not good. Babe Ruth is okay. Snickers is the best of those three. I care a lot about this. Airheads. I like Airheads. There's some flavors that I don't like as much, but I think generally it's a pretty good candy. It's the only thing is it's like, for me with an Airhead, is I feel like it's a little bit inconvenient, kind of like the 100 gram bar, but it takes slightly less brain power to eat than a 100 gram bar, I'd say. It's just a hard piece of candy, especially when it's cold outside, or it's cold in whatever environment the box was sitting in. And because of that, it's very hard to eat the Airhead sometimes. But I do like that candy. It's very good. Almond Joy, I think this is going to be controversial. I think Almond Joy is an A tier candy, despite the massive almond in the middle, which I think is maybe the worst part about it. It is a very good chocolate and coconut candy, and I like coconut a lot, so that's probably why I'm not totally impartial with this. If I'm analyzing this, if I'm trying to be partial about candy, which is, I think, impossible, I think the Almond Joy is just a generally good piece of candy. That's all there is to it, really. Big League Chew. I have a little bit of a problem with considering gum candy. I think gum is kind of its own thing. It's like, because you don't really eat it like candy. I'll put it right here, because I think Big League Chew in general I think is actually kind of good. But in my opinion, if I received gum on Halloween, I guess I would want it to be one of these. But gum to me is not candy. It's better, still better than Babe Ruth or Three Musketeers, but it's I don't know. It's weird putting gum, any sort of gum, up here. I see we have some gum down here as well, but yeah. If I'm talking specifically Halloween candy, this is probably going to be the ones that I want to receive. Bottle caps are a B. They're like sweet tarts, but not as good. But I still find myself wanting them more than either of these. Bottle caps, and there's going to be many candies on here that's like this, that are like this, is like eating chalk. It's very chalky. It's very how to describe it. There's just different flavors of chalk here. And none of them are really all that fantastic. Not a lot of flavor in any of these little things. They're alright. I'd much rather receive an Airhead or a Rio Grande. Or Rio Grande. 100 Grand bar. Butterfinger, I think, ranks above these two for me because it is a peanut butter candy. And when it comes to candy, peanut butter candy ranks supreme. And I will not contest that, or I will not take any opinions that say otherwise about that. Peanut butter candy is the best candy. Let's be real. Let's level with each other. If you don't like peanut butter candy, I don't want to know you. Sorry. This is going to be very hot take, but I actually like candy corn, and I would much rather receive or eat candy corn than any of these 5 things so far. I like candy corn, even though it's basically plastic. There's something about it that I think it's a flavor thing or maybe a textural thing, but I like candy corn, and I'm not ashamed to say it. Candy apple is not a candy. These like candy bricks. I haven't had those before. This is like eating chalk. This is like eating candy necklaces are like eating bottle caps, but worse. Because bottle caps actually do have some flavor. A candy necklace, every single piece of candy on there is the same flavor. They're different colors, which might make you seem to think that they are different flavors. They're not. The big candy necklace as an industry is trying to deceive you. So sorry. I hate to break it to you. Candy necklaces are not good. Actually, they're worse than Three Musketeers. Candy necklaces are puke tier. Chips Ahoy is not really candy, but as a cookie, it's alright. It would go here, I think. I like Chips Ahoy. I love a good cookie, but it's not candy. A cookie and candy is different, and it's not in the same way that like a square is a rectangle, but a rectangle is not a square. Chips Ahoy is not candy, but I do feel the need to rank it. Chunky I haven't had. Packing peanuts I haven't had. Packing peanuts. I meant circus peanuts. See you later. I don't know what NTD is, but I hope it's a good thing. So I'll see you later. Crunch. Crunch is up here. It's actually better than Almond Joy. It's like the Hershey's bar, but made so much better because of the crunchy rice. Crunchy rice and chocolate is also king. Same with peanut butter. If you have a candy that has chunky, like crispy rice. Did I say chunky rice? Crispy rice is very delicious in chocolate. I think those two things go together so well. Yeah, I feel very steadfast in this. Not quite Snickers good, but it is better than Almond Joy. Although I like Almond Joy. Dots. Dots are puke tier. It's in the same vein that 100 Grand and Airhead seem to take many, many neurons of your brain to eat. Um, Dots are kind of the same way, but not nearly as good as either of them. And I would much rather even receive a Three Musketeers than receive Dots on Halloween. I don't like this candy. It is not a good candy. Dove chocolate. I think chocolate on its own as Halloween candy, or if I was to receive it on Halloween, I think it's very boring. However, Dove is better than Hershey's. And I think that there is just something about Dove as chocolate that is there's just something about it that's better than just eating a regular Hershey's bar. I don't know what it is, but it is better. Hubble Bubble, that is puke tier. That is the king of, well, I mean, it's not king of puke tier. I think that would be the very bottom. But to me, like, gum, again, is not candy, even if it's wrapped like this. Candy corn? I knew it'd be controversial, but I like candy corn, and I like it a lot. I like it even more than Chips Ahoy. And I stand by that. I'm not gonna falter on that position. Yeah, Hubble Bubble, gum is not candy to me. You don't eat gum. You chew gum and then you spit it out. You don't leave it underneath tables because that's gross and disrespectful. But gum is not candy to me. I don't think this would be good. Again, if I was to receive gum, I would want it to be something like Big League Chew. Bubba is good bubble gum. It makes good bubbles if you like to blow them. So I think, okay, this is very personal. I'm going to share something very personal. I cannot blow bubbles in bubble gum. And it's very hard for me to even admit that, because I feel like everyone can blow bubbles with bubble gum. I cannot. I've never been capable of blowing bubbles with bubble gum. So please excuse my hatred of gum as a candy for a little bit, because gum as food, again, not food, you don't eat it, but gum as food is a little piece of rubber that is flavored and loses all of that flavoring upon entering your mouth after about, let's say, 5 seconds, and then you spit it out. So no, gum is not candy. I have a little bit of a personal vendetta about it. It's not good. You'll teach me? My opinion might change if I ever learn. Bubblegum is better than regular gum, I think, on its own, too. Because otherwise, the bubble, even though I can't blow it, I'll give it some fairness. That is pretty cool. Regular gum is just gum. You don't blow bubbles with Orbit. So what's the point? Famous Amos, that's not candy either, but it is good cookies. I think these are Dum Dums. I like lollipops. I think they're here for me. Thank you. I appreciate your offer to teach me how to blow bubbles with gum. It might be a little bit hard to and bring up a little bit of pain, but I think my opinion could change. I'm open to learning, but I don't think I'm as open to being hurt, you know. I don't even know what these are right here. These look like the different flavored Tootsie Rolls. Is Tootsie Rolls on here later on? It's not. No, it is. I'll get to Tootsie Rolls in a bit. Fun Dip is kind of weird. It's here for me. No, it's here. because Fun Dip is almost kind of like the same as eating chalk, in the same vein as something like candy necklaces or bottle caps. However, it's very ingenious what they did, because when you put the stick for Fun Dip in your mouth, you can eat the sugar that's in the bag. And that is cool. There's no other candy, I think, that's like that. It's not very good, but Fun Dip is one of those kind of weird sort of candies that I think I would not be upset if I got that on Halloween. Gobstoppers. Candy should not be a chore, and as much maintenance as there is eating a 100 grand bar or something like an Airhead, a Gobstopper, you have to literally, it's almost like, I would say it's like eating a landmine. Because it's a jawbreaker. It's less of a risk than actually eating a jawbreaker. But when you're eating Gobstoppers, it's hard to know when that thing is soft enough to chew into. Also, Gobstoppers in the film, I think this is a bit of false advertising. Gobstoppers were supposed to be everlasting. If you've ever seen Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, it's everlasting Gobstoppers. This is, again, one of those Wonka candies. They last maybe a minute. That's not everlasting. Why do you call them everlasting Gobstoppers? You chew into them. You either break your teeth, or after 5 seconds, it's like mushy, chocolatey, not chocolatey, mushy, sugary goo. So I think they're even worse than Musketeers, honestly. I don't enjoy Gobstoppers as a candy, but they're not quite puke tier. Gummy worms can go here. I think, again, it's like the candy necklace, where every single piece is the same flavor. It's the same thing with gummy worms, but gummy worms are more tolerable and fun, I think. There's something fun about thinking you're eating a worm. Well, I guess you can quote me on that. I would never eat a regular worm, but gummy worms as a candy, kind of but it wouldn't be the worst thing. Good and Plenty you've never had. Gummy bears, I think, are kind of the same deal, except I think Haribo has done a very good job differentiating their flavors. It's just, again, it's like if your candy is too cold, there's a lot of maintenance that goes into eating it. Actually, I do think they're better than... I actually like them more than all these. So gummy bears I do like, and I actually do think they're different flavors. It's not like gummy worms where everything says technically 2 flavors, but they're all technically the same. Heath Bar is a toffee bar, and I like it a lot. I don't think there's a lot of toffee candy, let alone toffee chocolate bars, and Heath is very good. It's better than candy corn, that's for sure. But I don't quite enjoy it as much as a good Almond Joy. Hershey's white chocolate. White chocolate is technically not chocolate, if I'm not mistaken. It's just sugar. It is better than Chips Ahoy, though, I'd say. This actually is the cookies and cream one, which is really good. I would say the Hershey's cookies and cream exceeds the any other Hershey's chocolate in terms of quality and enjoyability. Hershey's Kisses, there's so many different flavors. It's here for me. Actually, no, it's better than Babe Ruth. It's just chocolate. It's not special. It's not it's not necessarily interesting, but it depends on what flavor Hershey's Kiss you get. And for that, I would put it in B. Now, regular Hershey's goes right here for me. And this is dark chocolate Hershey's. Dark chocolate's better. think, than white chocolate, even cookies and cream wise. But actually, no, it's not better than cookies and cream. It's not as fun. But dark chocolate is better than milk chocolate. It's more bitter, obviously, and then it's less sugar kind of overall. So I would put it over these Dove bars. Actually better than Air. Actually, it's right here. It's right here. The dark chocolate Hershey's. But Hershey's is just chocolate. It is just a regular chocolate bar. It is all about Cadbury. I mean, Cadbury is some of the best chocolate. This Hershey's, it might as well be plastic. It's just not very good. Hubba Bubba, I would much rather receive than either of these. Because if we're talking about gum, yes, I bring gum back up because it's on the list. Yeah, it is. It's all about the flavor of the Hershey's Kisses. Hubba Bubba, again, it's a better flavored gum than something like Big League Chew, Bubble Bubble, or Hubble Bubble, or whatever that says. And it's kind of fun. It comes in its own container. It's like rope almost, but again, it's gum. Gum's not candy. Icebreakers, that's definitely not candy. I'm not even putting that up there. Even though I've had icebreakers, I'm not putting this up there. It's not candy. I refuse to accept that as candy. Same with Orbit. Orbit is not candy. Jelly beans are one of the greatest candies of all time. There's another list that I don't know if I'll get to, but there's so many flavors of jelly beans. 90% of them are winners. You can eat these any day of the year, and they're still good. It's perfect. There's a little bit of something for everybody in jelly beans. Jolly Ranchers are here for me. No, they're above Hershey's, just plain Hershey's, because Jolly Ranchers feels like it could be this, the Jawbreaker, which again is like eating a landmine, because you never know how soft it is, and especially with a big Jawbreaker, because that sucker is not getting in your mouth anyway. Look at this thing. It's a big hard ball. It's a rock. You're putting a rock in your mouth if you're eating a Jawbreaker. Jolly Ranchers again it's hard in the sense that it's kind of like Gobstoppers or Jawbreaker. Well, they're both the same thing, but Jolly Ranchers is actually chewable. It won't make you go to the dentist if you chew on it necessarily, but it's not necessarily a very pleasant candy, I'd say. Even with the different flavors and stuff, I would not say I hold Jolly Ranchers to be very favorable, in my opinion. Junior Mints are good. I actually like Junior Mints. I don't know if that's controversial, but I do like the mintier candies. I think if there's a York peppermint patty on here, it's actually a little bit better. But these are basically the same thing. What do we got next? Kit Kat goes here for me. Kit Kat is awesome. A wafer cookie covered in chocolate, yes please, and most of the flavors are really good too. I know I think in Japan they got some really weird flavors, like melon, that's really awesome. I like what they're doing. There's a lot of variety in the Kit Kat, and it's just a good candy bar overall. Crackle is like Crunch, but smaller. Most of the time, I think. And if you want a Crunch bar, you want a Crunch bar. No one's like, oh, I want a Crackle. No, they say, I want a Crunch. But Crackle is still very good because of the crispy rice. Again, total game changer. Laffy Taffy is like Airhead in the sense that it is hard to eat these. They're very hard, even it's supposed to be like a chewy, stretchy candy. And the flavors, I think, feel a bit more artificial, which is why I don't want to put it above Dove chocolate. I put it right here, and each one comes with a joke too, so that's really nice. It's a candy that wants you to feel good, you know? It's very well-intentioned candy. Lemon Heads is kind of like gobstop. Well, actually, no. Lemon Heads can be chewy, and I like lemon as a flavor. They're more consistent than... I feel weird, actually, doing this. I like chocolate more than I like regular kind of like stuff like fruity flavored candy. But I do like Lemon Heads. I think they're good. Mom takes, yeah, Kit Kat as payment. There is definitely a parent tax involved in a lot of these A tier candies. That's the only downside, I suppose. These are Lifesaver gummies, which I think go here. Because it's like gummy bears, I mean, in the sense that they're different flavors, but I don't know. I think gummy bears, there's a bit more novelty to them, whereas, actually, you can wear these on your hands, on your fingers, so they do rank a little bit better. And now regular Lifesavers is kind of like eating rocks almost, but not in a terrible way. So for me, they're B tier, but they're less far down than their gummy counterparts. Regular M&Ms. I mean, these are the only M&Ms that I see. So we'll just take... We'll take M&Ms. For me, it's just chocolate again. But it's like, hey, what if we made chocolate for kids, but it was like popping pills? So for me, it's like, it's better than this stuff, but it's still just chocolate. And I'm only considering regular M&Ms for this because Lemon Heads are Dumbledore's favorite. How would you know? You've never asked him. But he is kind of right. They're pretty good. In some capacity, he's right. Mike and Ike. Now that's genuinely, that's like, that's popping pills. And for me, that's better than gummy worms. I think actually that's better than Babe Ruth, which I'm moving down to here. I know I wanted to keep them kind of like a ladder, but I do think Snickers, Babe Ruth, Musketeers, maybe it's more of a triangle, Three Musketeers. The Snickers reigns far above, while the lowly Babe Ruth and Three Musketeers bar kind of like the serfdom of the candy kingdom. I don't know what this is. This is just generic orange and black candy, so I'm not gonna put that on there. Milk Duds are puke tier, similar to Dots. They're like chocolate dots almost, I'd say, in the sense that they're small pieces of candy that are hard to eat and not very good. Milky Way is everything that Babe Ruth wanted to be. So it's bottom of B. It's still not very good. It's clearly an inferior Snickers, but it is better than I think actually because I think Babe Ruth has peanuts, right? Wait, hold on. Does Babe Ruth have peanuts? Well, I don't want... It does have peanuts. So to that capacity, Babe Ruth is actually better than Milky Way. This is the system. This is the food chain, basically, of the Snickers. So Snickers is at the top. You have your Snickers up here. Then they said, hey, let's make Snickers a little bit worse. Let's take out basically the stuff that makes the Snickers good, and they made Babe Ruth. And then they said, hey, we like Babe Ruth, but we want to make it worse. So let's take the peanuts out. We just leave the caramel and the nougat. Then they made the Milky Way. And they said with the Milky Way, hey, Milky Way is great and all, but we want to make the most boring version of a Snickers basically as possible. And that's where the Three Musketeers is born, because it's literally just nougat covered in chocolate. So that's a little history for you. That's definitely what happened. Mounds is dark chocolate almond joy, and in my opinion, that makes it much better. Actually, wait, does Mounds even have almonds in it? Does Mounds have almonds? Okay, it does. I couldn't remember. That's weird. I'm ranking a candy so high and I can't even remember what's in it. But Mounds is basically almond joy, but better because it's dark chocolate and it still has that coconut. And yeah, it's pretty good. Mr. Goodbar, I can't even recall if I've ever had something like I've had one of those. Now I see Smarties next, and I think what I'm gonna contradict myself in the sense that it's like, oh, all of the pieces of the candy necklace are the same flavor. All of the bottle caps are kind of the same flavor. I think Smarties as a candy, that's what I'm gonna say this is, because I don't think that there's Smarties later on. I think that Smarties is up there because I think they just taste better. I think they taste better than all of those things that are kind of like the same flavor. I'd say it's way up there, honestly. It's better than Lemon Heads. It's not quite a Dove chocolate bar, though. What is this? Nerd's Rope? I think that's a Nerd's Rope. Nerd's Rope is weird, but fun to eat. It's, I actually think it's better than most of these. I do like a Nerd's Rope. It's a fun piece of candy. Nerds themselves, also very good. A lot of these candies are just sugar. These are like sugar rocks in a box. But for me, they do rank higher than a lot of these other things. I just think they're fun to eat. What is this? I can't see what this says. Say now or later? Maybe later, because I haven't had any. Payday is too salty to be considered candy to me. I think they salt them. Peanut butter cups will be top of the food chain. I'll get to that in a moment. I'll get to all the Reese's products in a moment. This is, I think, just slightly puke tier for me. And I feel bad because I think it's a candy that's doing its best. But the one time I had Payday as a kid, it was salty. And that completely threw me off. Not in the same way that, like, because I don't think a salty and a sweet thing together is a bad thing necessarily. But the Payday that I had was so salty that it really kind of ruined it for me, I think. I'm not putting Orbit on there. That's not candy. That's literally, between that and Icebreakers, like, you would receive that at the dentist almost. Well, no, you wouldn't, because it's the dentist. Your peanut butter M&Ms are great. It's right there for me. So much more superior to the regular M&M in the sense that it's just a good piece of candy. They took the M&M and they made it better. What can I say? What do you want to hear? All right. These little after dinner mints that are at every single restaurant front desk that you've ever been to as a child. It's an all right piece of candy. It's not very high tier for me, but I do like mint. I just think that these little things, I would be really disappointed if I got them when I was trick-or-treating. Pez Pez as a candy on its own is not very good, but they do come in fun containers. If you haven't seen the Pez collection documentary on Netflix, it's about a guy who collected Pez things for collector shows, and I think like he was going overseas to get them, and it might have been illegal. It's been a while since I've seen the documentary, but it's good. But I would put Pez right here. I think it's still kind of like eating chalk. Uh-oh. I'm going to do Red Vines and Twizzlers together because I feel like they are the same thing with a slight difference in enjoyment. Well, maybe I can just move them up here. Yeah, so I'll put these two together. And what I'm about to say I think will be very unpopular, but I think that Twizzlers are better than Red Vines. I think people say that, oh, Red Vines taste more like fruit. I honestly kind of like that Twizzlers are shitty in comparison to their other licorice counterpart. For me, Twizzlers are right up here, and Red Vines are right here. They're very much the same thing with a slight difference in flavor. And for me, the Twizzlers are better, even though I think most people would say that they don't taste as good. I will die on that hill. That is the hill that I'll die on. Now, we get to the king. First off, best candy ever. It's not even close. I love jelly beans. Sorry, jelly beans. It's a peanut butter and chocolate candy. It's fantastic. Butterfinger, the only reason Butterfinger would be lower than jelly beans is because Butterfingers, I feel like, are a bit harder. As a peanut butter and chocolate candy, you want it to just be like a soft thing. And for that, I think Reese's are the best. It's the best of every single world that candy could be a part of. I'm not putting Fast Break on there because I haven't had it, but I'm sure it's really good. Reese's Minis, I mean that's right after Reese's. It's just it's the son of Reese's, the child of Reese's, Reese's Jr. What's not to love there? Reese's Pieces. I like them a lot. I think they go right here for me though. This is the weird cousin of Reese's that Reese's doesn't like to talk about at the family dinners. It's good. It's very well meaning. But it's not this. It's like eating M&Ms, like regular M&Ms with peanut butter in them. And I love peanut butter and chocolate together. It's one of the greatest marriages of foods of all time. But Reese's Pieces is not nearly as good as just eating a regular Reese's or Reese's Mini Peanut Butter Cup. Ring Pop. Ring Pop is more than candy, it's fashion. And for that, I think that's really cool. It's like eating a lollipop on your finger, really, I'd say. Well, it's Ring Pop, so yeah, I'd say that's pretty accurate. I would put it right here. I think generally it's pretty good. And then you can wear it around town or whatever you want to do. Rolo is here. And in the same vein that like Milky Way is just like, it's smaller Milky Way basically, but for some reason I feel like it's harder to eat than a regular Milky Way. So for me, in terms of Halloween candy, yeah, it's going right here beneath the after dinner mint. Runts. It's like Gobstoppers in a way, because it's these little tiny, hard, fruit-shaped candies that are impossible to chew. Like, it's impossible to eat these without thinking that, you're gonna crack your tooth down the middle. I think what separates it from Jolly Ranchers is Jolly Ranchers feel like when you taste a Jolly Rancher, it tastes a bit more authentic than a Runt. Like a Runt's, it feels very artificial, whereas Jolly Rancher's not as artificial. That's what it feels like to me, at least. Saltwater taffy. That's fun. It's very hard to eat, but there's a lot of different flavors. So for me, that goes like right down here. I enjoy taffy from time to time. Skittles. It's the M&Ms from the alternate dimension where there's no chocolate, there's only fruit. And for that, I would put them right beneath here. I don't think Skittles are all that great. Oh, these are Smarties. Well, Smarties will go... I mean, this is the same thing. Skittles, not my favorite candy. Sour gummy worms. This is gummy worms, but made infinitely better. For me, gummy worms, sour gummy worms, are right here. Is the gummy worms taken in the right direction? Again, many different colors, all of which are the same flavor, but they're sour, which is better than a regular gummy worm. Sour Patch Kids are kind of like eating gummy worms, but less fun. Sour gummy worms. Now, if we're talking about Sour Patch watermelons, those go way up. I mean, that's better than candy corn. I actually put that up in A, but since it's just Sour Patch Kids, it's not quite as good. Sour Skittles is Skittles, but a little bit better. I think they go here. It's different from like the gummy worm to sour gummy worm thing because it's fun to feel like, you know, again, don't quote, well, you can quote me on it, but it would probably be fun to eat a worm if you're a bird. And I can imagine if you're a human eating a sour gummy worm, that's kind of fun too. Sour Skittles is a different step up from regular Skittles, and I just don't think Skittles are all that good. Starburst is one of those candies that is hard to eat when you have them cold, but I think the flavors are good enough that they would rank higher than Sour Skittles for me. I think they're right there. They're pretty good. They're not amazing. I don't know what this chocolate thing... Is this chocolate? This looks just like caramel on a stick. I don't know what that is. Raisins are not candy, but raisins are good. I would actually much rather see raisins than anything in puke tier. I'll put raisins here. No, here. I actually think I like raisins, and I would not be upset if I got them as Halloween candy. Raisins could honestly be better than these two as well, if I'm being honest. But it's not candy. Swedish Fish, that's lower than raisins for me, honestly. I don't like Swedish Fish. I think they're all the same. They're all very boring. It's just kind of very gross, gummy, sugary stuff. So I think it's above Runts for me. But it's, it feels weird just having Hershey's be... Well, no. No, I feel good with that just being there. That's disrespectful if you just give someone Hershey's. Sweet Tarts are just better bottle caps. It's almost like a sour bottle cap. So that's why it's like right here. These look like Blow Pops, which if you're talking about lollipops, that goes in A. I mean, that's better than... It's gum, again, which is not candy, but it's a little prize at the end of your lollipop. So for me, a Blow Pop is a better candy than candy corn. Tootsie Rolls are puke tier. Actually worse, because you can actually chew through gum. You can't chew through a Tootsie Roll. It's solid chocolate. It's like chocolate if it was put in the petrification machine or whatever it is in Star Wars that they put Han Solo in episode 5. That's what happens if you put chocolate into that. You get a Tootsie Roll. So no, Tootsie Rolls are puke tier. They're absolutely awful. Toxic waste? Well, that's not candy. That's no. Trident, that's not candy, that's gum. Tropical Skittles, I think is what this is next. It's Skittles. It's not really spectacular. Now Twix. Twix is the silver second place trophy holder in terms of candy, Halloween candy for me. It's cookie, it's caramel. I think there's some nougat in there too. It's so good. How could you not love a Twix? I mean, it's just fantastic. It's better than jelly beans for me, honestly. As someone who loves jelly beans, it's hard for me to say, but Twix is better than jelly beans. Warheads are puke tier. This is not candy. This is a Geneva Convention violation in candy form. Yeah, no, this should not exist. I don't know what these like little soda things. I forgot what they're called. Fruit snacks. Who doesn't love fruit snacks? I actually love fruit snacks. More so than Skittles, if I'm being honest. Here. No, it's fine. I like fruit snacks. They're alright. It's not candy, but it's still better than raisins. They go here. No, here. Because again, these are almost fashion. They can't fit on any fingers unless you have sticks for fingers, but that's what differentiates Lifesavers from Welch's fruit snacks. And then I have two more candies that I've had. The ones that won't go on here are just the ones that I haven't had. Werther's Original are caramels, but it's just caramel. So for me, it's down here. I'd much rather have chocolate without caramel than just caramel on its own. And Whoppers are puke tier. This is the American version of the malt ball. And if you've had a malt ball, generally they're pretty good. But as far as Whoppers go, they are plastic. They are plastic straight through. This is the English version of the Whopper. The Malteser is much better because you can actually taste chocolate. It's not plastic. So perhaps if we had never left the British monarchy, we would still have Maltesers. And I can think of a lot of reasons to not have separated and to have had a revolution and gotten rid of the monarchy. There's obviously a lot of positives to that, but one of the negatives is that we missed out on Maltesers. So to that end, I think, we could have had the Maltesers, but instead we have Whoppers, which is disgusting candy. So this is my candy tier list for Halloween. If you disagree, obviously you can leave some opinions below. Keep it respectful. That's going to be it. I thought I was going to go through these a lot quicker. I still have... Well, that was my last tier list. I guess I technically got through 2.5 tier lists, which sucks a little. I thought I was going to get through more. I didn't even get to the uwu-fu-fu stuff, which is like the head-to-head stuff, where it's almost kind of like tournament styled, where you put things head-to-head, and you pick which one you like more. I might have time for one. Let's do... How long is this horror villains one? We had a horror villains tier list, but I think it would have taken too long to go through, so I will at least... I didn't even get to do the jelly bean tier list, which I really wanted to do. There's a bunch of costumes on here. Well, let's do the jelly bean tier list. I guess if we run a little bit longer, it's fine. But we can We can do the jelly bean tier list real quick, I suppose. Sorry for the advertising. Jelly beans I care flavors of jelly beans I care more about than candy itself. Because jelly beans are so freaking good. Again, we'll kind of rate it the same way as we did Halloween candy, A through D, and then puke. Root beer is a D tier flavored jelly bean. It's soda, I feel like already has, or carbonated beverages like soda or root beer, I feel like are already kind of, I don't like soda, so I don't really drink it. I think it's like, maybe it's a carbonation thing, but it's also just a flavor thing. I don't really like the flavor of soda, and so to put that in a jelly bean, it feels sacrilegious to me in many ways. So it is a D tier jelly bean. It's not quite puke flavored though. And there is one on here that I know will go in puke tier in terms of jelly bean flavor. Now A&W cream soda is better than the regular root beer. It's a much lighter, less harsh jelly bean flavor, so it goes in C for me. It's still not the best, but it's alright. Berry blue. Now, you'll see here that you have berry blue, and its neighbor on this tier list is blueberry. This is also this goes for the same thing on the back of the packaging where you have all of your flavors. And this is of course the Jelly Belly jelly bean flavor tier list, because this is the brand of jelly beans that I eat. Berry blue and blueberry. What's the difference? Did they say we needed 50 flavors and they had blueberry, and they say, oh, well, what if we reverse the words and make it a different shade? That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything to the jelly bean consumer, because ultimately they're kind of the same thing. So for me, they're both kind of a C tier jelly bean. They rank over the cream soda. I guess I like the color of berry blue a little bit more than blueberry. Well, actually, no. I like the blueberry one better. This looks like a radioactive blue, and just the concept of putting something that is radioactive inside of your body, just, I don't know. That's not a good idea. Don't eat. If I can impart a little bit of wisdom to you today, don't eat things that are radioactive. Bubblegum is B. I like the bubblegum flavored jelly bean. Again, it's that because gum is not candy, the jelly bean has to compensate for that by having the flavor of the gum, and I think that overall that jelly bean does a very good job. Buttered popcorn is puke tier flavored jelly bean. This is the most vile thing I think I've ever put in my mouth, is a buttered popcorn flavored jelly bean. Why this is in this bag of 50 flavors of jelly beans is beyond me. It is disgusting. I'd rather eat like a dog food flavored Bean Boozled bean than I would eat a buttered popcorn jelly bean. I care so much about this. Yeah, it's puke tier for me. The buttered popcorn. Cantaloupe this is like one of the less memorable flavors in the bag, but for me it still stands out above A&W cream root beer. Now cappuccino is also puke. Well, I don't like coffee. Why would I want it as a bean? However, it is not the worst thing I've ever eaten. It is just not good. Now, caramel corn is like buttered popcorn, but they fixed the issue with the popcorn jelly bean, and that is they made it taste good. They made the caramel corn, and it tastes all right. It's above cappuccino for me, but I would still try and avoid these if I had the bag. Chili mango. I don't think I've seen this jelly bean before. Wait, what? Why is this in here? This is a mystery to me. Hold on. Hang on 1 second. I can't say I've ever seen this jelly bean before. I can't say I've ever tasted this jelly bean. It is an enigma why this jelly bean is on this list. I have not seen it. Chocolate pudding is worse than cream. It's just not a good jelly bean. And I don't know why. It's just not. Cinnamon is an A tier jelly bean. It's like eating a mint in jelly bean form. It's like a good refresher. It's a good palate cleanser, I think, and it's a hotter jelly bean. To me, that's very important because I think a lot of jelly bean flavors are, I mean, well, they're jelly beans, so it's not really the, I mean, as many flavors as you have, it's not like there's an exciting jelly bean. I still get excited over jelly beans because I like them so much, but as a cinnamon jelly bean, I think that is a very enjoyable jelly bean. Coconut is a B tier. It's very good. It tastes like, you know, what it is. Similar to bubblegum, and I would definitely pick those out of the thing. Out of the bag. Or jar. Or whatever you put your jelly beans in. Cotton candy, kind of, it's hard to tell these two apart. But I think if you had to pick one or the other, I'd pick cotton candy over bubblegum because I think I enjoy cotton candy more than I enjoy gum. So there's that. Now, crushed pineapple. I love pineapple in all its forms. I put this in A tier because I think it's a good fruit. It's not cinnamon for me because it's not that exciting jelly bean, but it is delicious nonetheless. Dr. Pepper, it's again, why would you put soda in a jelly bean? It's almost as bad as putting coffee in a jelly bean. Actually, caramel corn can go ahead of these two. Again, not good, but better than soda. French vanilla is a very boring jelly bean, but it is a good flavor. I'd much rather have coconut, but I'll put it in B because I would much rather have it than any of these. Green apple, this is oftentimes either a good jelly bean or the most sour candy imaginable. I think that green apple goes at the top of C. It's an inconsistent jelly bean, and ultimately, I think if I wanted my face to cave in because I'm puckering so much, I would probably have the green apple jelly bean, but I don't really want that. Island Punch, who knows what flavor that is? It's not very good, but it is better than caramel corn. Juicy Pear, A tier. Actually, probably more so than crushed pineapple would still go ahead. Juicy Pear is genuinely good, and it's surprising how they actually made this jelly bean taste juicy. I'm genuinely surprised how they pulled that off. It's a very good jelly bean, the Juicy Pear one. Kiwi, I'm kind of impartial to kiwis normally. I would put it, I put it right here maybe. C tier. Lemon Drop, again, I love lemon. I love lemons. I'd put this in A tier. It is a lemon, and again, they make it taste kind of juicy. I don't know how they do that. It's kind of, I'd say the same deal goes with lemon lime, but I would put that there because I'm not so much of a lime fan as I am a just lemon on its own fan. The licorice jelly bean, I would put at the top of C because it's surprisingly not a terrible jelly bean, even though I don't like black licorice at all. The jelly bean version of it is fine. I would much rather still have that than cappuccino or buttered popcorn flavored jelly bean. Mango. This is very overwhelming when compared to the actual fruit, and so that's why this is hard to put on this list. Put it right down here. This is another jelly bean that I don't remember existing. I think I've had them, and I think they're all right. I'll put them right there. I generally try and avoid anything that looks like chocolate pudding down to puke tier. Mixed berry smoothie. is not a very good flavor. It's trying to do too much. It's overcompensating. I'd put it right here. Orange sherbet is an A-tier jelly bean. That is so good. If you've ever had an orange dreamsicle, orange sherbet, it is a delicious flavor. For me, that in jelly bean form, it stays the same. Peach. Peach is one of those jelly beans that I would argue doesn't actually taste like the fruit that it's modeled after at all. I would put it above margarita still because I think margaritas are alright, but it's a bit hard, you know? I think peaches are a little bit better. Now, pina colada. That's everything good in a jelly bean. You got your coconut, your pineapple. It's just a good ass jelly bean. What else can I say? Plum is there. Actually, it goes here for me, I think. I don't like the plum jelly bean. Pomegranate. This is a good one. I actually have had it. I was trying to think if it was, again, one of those ones that existed, but I do recall having them. I would say it goes into the bottom of B. Raspberry. I like the jelly bean more than I like the actual fruit, because I think that raspberry, I don't like the little seeds in raspberries, so I think the raspberry jelly bean is the improvement over the actual raspberry. Of course, it is sugar mostly, so you have to take that into consideration when you're picking, whether you want to have fruit or candy today. But I would put that right there, I think. Red apple is like green apple, but better. For me, it's better than pomegranate and raspberry. Sizzling cinnamon is basically the same thing as cinnamon. It's a very similar flavor. I'd say this is maybe the hotter version of this, but this is still really good. This is one of my favorite jelly beans. Sour cherry, again, it's kind of like, you have to take a gamble. Is it going to be a sweeter sour jelly bean, or is it going to be a sour jelly bean? I think I like the flavor more than the apple. Actually, no, I like apples more than I would eat an apple before I would eat a cherry in real life, so I feel like this stays the same. Strawberry cheesecake is a very forgettable flavor, but it is still pretty good, I'd say. Strawberry daiquiri, delicious jelly bean. No, don't exit full screen. I'm just trying to keep everything visible. Don't need the little bar on top. I would put it above some of these. I'd put it above mango, actually. I think the strawberry daiquiri one is really good. Strawberry jam, even better. It's just strawberry, plain and simple. It's not a mixed drink. Now, Sunkissed lemon and lemon drop, to me, that might as well be the same thing. I think lemon drop is maybe a little bit better. Lime, it's lime. Who really cares? Now, orange on its own does not a jelly bean make. I think that goes in here. Orange sherbet is so good because it has the vanilla-y taste to it. I think this goes here. I don't think I've ever had this grapefruit jelly bean before. Tangerine is a little bit better than orange, I think, although they're kind of the same. Toasted marshmallow is an A-tier jelly bean. I don't really think it tastes a bit like marshmallow, but I don't know if by a lot. Now, this is the king of jelly bean flavors. Is this artificial banana flavoring, which between me and my brother, we love very much. It is very near and dear to our hearts. In jelly bean form, this is no exception. The top banana jelly bean flavor is the greatest flavor of jelly bean of all time. Tutti Frutti, I'd say, goes in A tier too. It's a fun one. Look at it. This jelly bean is just having a good time. It tastes good too. kind of similar to these two flavors, but it's just a lot more fun. Now, very cherry is not sour cherry, but it is cherry. I think it actually goes here. The watermelon jelly bean to me is weirdly, I think, I don't really like artificial watermelon that much, but in terms of this jelly bean, it is a very good jelly bean. It also has this kind of interesting looking, not marbling effect, but you can see the red that's on the inside of the jelly bean, and that's really cool too. And last but not least, wild blackberry. This is again, I think most of my jelly bean opinions lean towards positive. Wild blackberry, it does not fall into that. I think it is slightly worse than mixed berry smoothie. And this is my jelly bean tier list. This was very important to me. I wanted to get to this. I love jelly beans. If you don't agree with some of these, of course, share your opinions. Just keep them respectful, please. And then we were going to do one of these too. And so this website is called Ufufu. Basically, it's kind of like, you know, a list of things. Be like best video games of all time, and it'll put two random things on the list against each other, and you basically pick which one you like more. So we'll go through this real quickly. We'll do the round of 64, which I think is how many things are on this list. Sorry, I don't know if I'm explaining it very well, but basically, so Michael Myers and the girl from The Ring. I think Michael Myers is much more memorable overall. He's really cool. I'd put Michael Myers over the girl from The Ring. Ghostface or Cujo. I think this costume, I don't really like Ghostface as a costume or as a design or anything like that. I would put Cujo. There's very few horror movies about like non-human killers. So I'd have to put Cujo ahead. I've not seen either of these. Mr. Wickles, the Black Knight? Who's that? That sounds like the Wiggles, like the band for children. I'm going to put the Nun over that because the Nun is actually scary. Kayako Saiki and Leslie. I can't say that I know who Leslie is. I think this is from The Grudge. The other woman was not scary. Graboid is from Tremors. Springtrap is from Five Nights at Freddy's. This is apples and oranges to me. This is a movie and a video game. I like the Tremors more because I don't know. It's why is there video games on this movie list? Art the Clown and Hannibal Lecter. This is an easy Hannibal Lecter. Art the Clown is from a movie called Terrifier, which is a very mean-spirited movie, and I don't recommend you watching it. And Silence of the Lambs, meanwhile, from Hannibal Lecter, that is one of the greatest horror movies of all time. So I'd put Hannibal Lecter over that. Ooh. I'd have to say Norman Bates probably, because Norman Bates is much more unassuming. Both of these movies are very good and very influential. I have to say Norman Bates though over Jack Torrance. Reagan McNeil or The Babadook. Again, two movies I haven't seen, The Exorcist and The Babadook, but I think I like The Babadook's design more than the possessed Reagan McNeil. Oh, that's tough. That is tough because the Terminator is such a iconic design, but so is Jason. Oh no, this is going to be a longer stream. I would put, I think just because Jason feels like more of a horror movie to me, and this is a horror villains list, they're pretty neck and neck for me. Pamela Voorhees versus Stripe from Gremlins. This was actually a good twist, although she did kind of come out of nowhere. This is a silly movie. These are very different genres. You're probably, actually, I'm on a bit of a delay, so I'd put Pamela Voorhees over Stripe from Gremlins because I think that was more crucial to the film. I have not seen Little Shop of Horrors, but I have seen Jaws. And I think this shark was very scary. It's much more scary than this plant. Although I like the design of this talking plant. Megan or Candyman? It's Tony Todd. I mean, this seeing Megan, at least in the previews and clips that I saw of just kind of running around like a horse in the woods, it's very not scary. Like I think it takes you out of the experience. Although I would say that this movie has been way more, I think, influential in the horror sphere than Candyman. Although Candyman did just get a reboot, but the Tony Todd Candyman, I'm gonna have to go with Tony Todd. Mademoiselle and Slender Man. I cannot tell you what this is from, but what I can tell you is Slender Man is scary. And they left whatever watermark or whatever this thing is in. The Pale Man and David Kessler. The Pale Man is such a cool design. I mean, I haven't seen Pan's Labyrinth, but I know that this is what it's from, and this is such a cool monster that I have to go with that over just a werewolf. Billy Lenz. I can't remember what movie that's from. I want to say that's Silent Night, Deadly Night, but the Fly version, again, this is what I was talking about earlier. This is so cool, this costume. The smile. I'm going this guy. He's happy to be here. He's enjoying life versus the other person. So Chucky versus the Thing. I'd say the Thing, because the Thing doesn't even really have a form of its own. It's just, I think it's really cool. Pan's Labyrinth is an amazing movie. Yeah, I got a lot of movies to watch after this. I'm going to have to watch through all the stream and see what everyone said. Chucky is iconic, but the Thing is really, I think it's a great design for a monster. Ben Willis, The Fisherman, or Corey Cunningham. This is just a regular old milquetoast white dude. For me, it's the Fisherman from I Know You Did Last Summer. Very, very creepy. Jigsaw versus the Predator. I think what the Predator is kind of silly looking. Oh, I'm sorry, you said Chucky. I kind of disagreed with you on that. I like The Thing as a movie just way more than I like Chucky. I'd say Jigsaw. The Predator kind of looks silly. I mean, both of them are kind of silly. Evil Ash from the Evil Dead series versus Sam, who is a kid with a bag on his head. I'm going to go with Evil Ash. Not that Trick or Treat is a bad movie, but pretty cool. Oh, I like the designs of both of these, but I'm going to have to go with the Xenomorph because I think it's much more iconic. I think this version of the Invisible Man was really awesome, though. And I really like the way that they executed that movie in like the modern day. But I will say the Xenomorph is better. This, again, video game character versus Bill Skarsgård really selling the role of It as Pennywise, or Pennywise from It. So it's Pennywise for me. Carrie White and Pinhead. I like Hellraiser a lot as a movie, and I think the Xenobites are really awesome. I'm gonna have to go with Pinhead, I think, as it's much more creepy and cool. Bubba Sawyer from Leatherface versus the Creeper. I'm guessing that's Jeepers Creepers. I think Leatherface is much more iconic, and it's a movie that I've actually seen, so I'm gonna say Leatherface. This is Resident Evil. This is horror. This is, again, apples and oranges here. This is completely two different mediums. So Freddy Krueger is really awesome. I'm gonna say Freddy. This is The Bride of Chucky, and then the alien from Nope. Sorry if he's... Oh, sorry. Nope, spoilers. Jean Jacket is way cooler. As a horror villain. It is... They don't... There's a whole bunch that doesn't explain. This is just a gag character. Tiffany Valentine from Bride of... and Seed of Chucky. Yeah, Jean Jacket's way cooler. Nick Goods. I don't know who that is. The Demogorgon. I think this is movies and television. The Demogorgon is really cool, actually, I'd say. I don't know what this is from, so I'll have to say the Demogorgon. Vecna and the Weeping Angel. I like both of these as villains. Vecna is a piece of shit, and I love him. Well, I don't love him. I like the character, and the concept of this is I mean, it's not as cool as the Demogorgon and the Mind Flayer, but I think Vecna as a villain is a very good and imposing villain. Whereas the Weeping Angel from Doctor Who, there's so much mystery still going on here, and it's creepy, and it's very original. So I think I'm gonna say the Weeping Angel. Annabelle versus Pyramid Head. So Annabelle the movie versus Pyramid. This is a that is not scary. That's just silly. Pearl, probably from the movie Pearl, which I've not seen, and the Death Angel. I don't know what's going on here. I like it though. Oh, this is gonna be long. Okay, 2 Jordan Peele movie villains. I'd have to say I think they're both very imposing in their own way, but I think this is Lupita Nyong'o. I hope I got that right. Actually, hold on. This is from Us. She does a really good job selling that role. It's a more so and is more so memorable than Rose Armitage. So I will say Red. I just want to look this up real quick. Patrick Bateman. I haven't seen. Yeah, it is Lupita Nyong'o. Okay, I got that right. I feel good about that. I know my movie characters. Patrick Bateman versus the miner from My Bloody Valentine. Maybe this is just a dude in a mining suit. I haven't seen this movie. I haven't seen American Psycho, but I'd have to probably say Patrick Bateman because I think it's just more relevant. Ooh, Michael Myers versus the Brundlefly. Again, I haven't seen The Fly, but I've seen most Halloween movies. I'll have to say Michael Myers just for the I guess the impact in the horror world. Weeping Angel versus Cujo. I would say the Weeping Angel. It's very kind of spooky. Pyramid Head or the Nun. Again, I don't know what the Nun. I haven't seen any of the Nun movies, but I have played a Resident Evil game, and the Pyramid Head is very, very creepy. Pamela Voorhees versus the Demogorgon. I have to say Pamela Voorhees. The Demogorgon just kind of becomes a sort of minion for Vecna later on, whereas this was I'd say a good twist for this for Friday the 13th. So that's my opinion on that. The Babadook versus Leatherface. I like them both a lot, but I'll say Leatherface because I actually have seen that. Hannibal Lecter. Sorry, Lupita Nyong'o. You're really great in that movie, but Hannibal Lecter. Hannibal Lecter is my pick in that situation. I haven't seen whatever this is from, so I'll say Bruce. The Shark. Oh, a classic matchup. Freddy versus Jason. Honestly, I would say Freddy in a heartbeat because I think the way that Freddy operates in his world is way cooler than how Jason operates in his world. Slender Man versus the Smile. This is so cool. Honestly, the multiple jaws. This is really creepy. I'll say the Smile. Keep him on the list a little longer. This is going to be It from Pennywise. Pennywise from It. I keep getting that backwards. Pennywise is this, I don't know, just the way that Bill Skarsgård plays this role is so much better, I think, than that fisherman. Jean Jacket. This is a person painted white, and this is an alien from another planet. It's got to be Jean Jacket. So cool. Jigsaw versus the Pale Man. I think this is not quite as scary in terms of just horror as conceptually. Like the Pale Man is much scarier. Norman Bates versus Candyman. Oh, it's Tony Todd playing Candyman versus Norman Bates. I'd say just Norman Bates probably for just the impact of that movie. Patrick Bateman versus Evil Ash. Patrick Bateman probably. And Pinhead versus the Xenomorph. I would put the Xenomorph ahead of Pinhead. The Thing and the Graboid. I'd say The Thing. The Thing, because of that movie. It's just so good. No, I have never seen The Grudge. You're correct. Pennywise and the Xenomorph, I would say... Oh, I like them both. This is where it gets tough. Gotta cut some of your favorites loose. I'd say the Alien. Michael Myers versus the Smile. As cool as the costume for the Smile is, and whatever effects are going on here, I'd say Michael Myers. Gotta cut the Smile loose. Freddy Krueger and Weeping Angel. I think it's Freddy pretty easily for me. And then the Shark versus Hannibal Lecter. It's gonna be Hannibal Lecter. Norman Bates versus Leatherface. I would say Norman Bates. I think he's more unassuming and less, I don't want to say obnoxious, but he is kind of less in your face. Patrick Bateman is better, I think. Pyramid Head. And then they're both really cool, but I'm gonna have to say the Pale Man because the Pale Man is much creepier. Then the last of the round of 16 is The Thing versus Pamela Voorhees. I would actually say Pamela Voorhees over The Thing because of how that played out in the movie. Michael Myers would be over Bateman, I think. Sorry, I know it's on a delay. So I hope it's not like super far behind. I know I'm kind of past the ones by the time you're by the time you've seen them. I'll slow down a little bit. Although this is almost 3 hours of streaming. Freddy Krueger versus the Xenomorph. I would say Freddy Krueger, I think, because I like, again, the way that this villain operates in the movies as opposed to the Xenomorph. Pamela Voorhees and the Pale Man. Oh, I like the Pale Man as a villain. He's very creepy. Hannibal Lecter and Norman Bates. Oh, this is the hardest pick yet. It's going to be Hannibal Lecter, though. Michael Myers or Freddy Krueger. I would put Freddy up against Hannibal Lecter. And for me, the winner of this is Hannibal Lecter. Because of the way that Anthony Hopkins plays this character. It is so good. And even though it's just kind of like a normal killer guy, he plays him as incredibly intelligent, and I think there's a lot of nuance to this character. Not that there's not a lot of nuance to Freddy, but I think Freddy is a bit more campy than Hannibal Lecter, even though if I like the way that Freddy operates better as a killer, I suppose. So it's Hannibal Lecter for me. Hannibal Lecter wins it. My favorite horror villain. So cool. Okay. And then you can see kind of how other people voted as well. Most people think Michael Myers is actually the best. Then Jason, Freddy, Ghostface, Jigsaw, Leatherface, Pinhead, Pyramid Head, Pennywise, Girl from the Ring, the Xenomorph, and then Hannibal. I'm clearly not in the majority of people. Art is very high up. Who's in last? Let's just see who the least scary is. Yeah, I don't think anyone knows who these three are unless they're actively watching a lot of horror. What are the bottom five? So it was those four, and then, yeah, I don't remember who this is off the top of my head. I want to say it's from Silent Night, Deadly Night, but sorry, scroll down and there's like, yeah, you can see there's a lot of stuff on this website. That's what's kind of cool about it. But not be right back. Not starting soon. We've been here for a while. I hope you've enjoyed this stream. I just wanted to make sure I got to at least a little bit more of the stuff that I wanted to. I'll be back Tuesday. I don't know what I'll be playing yet. Something spooky though will be the case. And then there's not a whole lot of October left. This has been a really fun month, and it's been a really good month for the channel. I want to thank everyone um, who's been supporting the channel as of recently. I just saw that the newest video that I've uploaded it's been viewed over 260 times, which to me is insane. I don't even know that amount of people personally, I don't think. So I want to thank everyone for watching my stuff still and leaving comments. I always appreciate getting to interact with people in the comments. So this has been fun, kind of. I didn't get to do as much as I wanted, but yeah, it's been a blast. And just thank you if you stopped by and left a like or watched it even a little bit. This endeavor for me has been a lot of fun. So I'm glad, like, streaming as an endeavor. I've been enjoying it a lot. So I will see you all next time. Thank you for watching. If you did, thank you for your support. And yeah, I'll be back on Tuesday. And until then, take care and don't let any clowns or monsters into your house.